What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Barbells and Trails podcast. I'm your host, Bret, and I am accompanied by Noah.
What's up, guys? I'm back.
yeah,
Mm.
he was missing last week, but we
I was
found him.
busy. I'm
He,
sorry.
he's stuck out in the woods.
Basically, yeah.
yeah, he has school finals, but I don't.
You lucky
so,
duck.
um, hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast last week. It was a little shorter, um, but I think it went well. I mean, I could have probably done a little more with it, but hey, I just talked about 4-H and kind of how I got started. So it wasn't anything too crazy, but hope you guys enjoyed. But I do have a feeling that most of our listeners, that I know that probably would have listened to it, either have been in 4-H or just know what it is. So I guess that's for a broader audience. If anybody ever listens to it, that's
Yeah.
not fairly local, but hey, it's out there. Um, and I would like to thank everybody that has followed our Instagram in the past week. I've been working on it, posting more. Got us up to 25 subscribers or followers. So appreciate the follows there. Um, and yeah, just appreciate the support. But this podcast for this week is going to be a little more laid back on topics. We don't have anything too specific. We're just going to talk about a bunch of uh, more weird random stuff, I guess, for a little bit, and just kind of BS for a little bit. But all right, so I guess we're going to start off with I did have a listener question from last week's
Whoa, whoa,
episode.
whoa, whoa. How was the 5K?
Oh, yeah, true. I did run the 5K I told you guys about last week. If you do follow us on Instagram, I did post a reel about it. It went well. I ran a 24:40, 24:42,
That's pretty good.
somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was shooting for 25, um, at least, and depending, I wasn't sure if I could push myself to maybe get 24, but I ended up just kind of keeping pace with my uncle. And at the beginning, I wasn't super far up front, so I was kind of caught behind some people. So trying to work my way through a bit at the beginning, but I held uh, um, basically an 8 minute pace perfectly almost, and a little faster at the end. And I just tailed my uncle there by about 2 lengths, like basically two people spaces, and the whole time. And then we got to the main stretch to the finish line, and basically the entire time as I was going around on the track or whatever, I was like, okay, I was like, I don't want him to beat me. I don't know if I want to push ahead of him now and then maybe not stay ahead of him by the end. So I just made sure I stayed with him the whole time because I
Mm.
could tell that there's times he picked up his pace just a little bit. Um, so I just made sure I stayed basically right with them. And then, but I was like, I can't. Like the year before, I was less ill or more ill prepared, and I cramped up. So he did beat me easily, um, by like 2 minutes. so
Wow.
I I was like, I can't let him beat me again. So no matter what, I wanted to cross the finish line before him. So when we got on that main drag to the finish line, I just full out sprinted, and I don't think he expected it, which was hilarious because as I came up around him, I saw him like turn, and I heard him say, "Oh shit!" and he tried sprinting to catch up, but I just took it into another gear that he wasn't prepared for.
There you
and
go.
then I ended up passing, I think, two other people ahead of me by the time I got to the finish line. But I lost my AirPod as I was running. It was kind of wiggling loose, and I tried holding it in, and then I was just trying to full out sprint, and it bounced out, and I was like, oh shit! But I just kept going. so
Dang.
But it was pretty good. I did get to the event a little late, but I mean, I was there to start the race. I mean, that's all that mattered.
There you go. It sounded like it went pretty good. It looked like
No,
it went pretty good too.
it did. It was definitely a little smaller of a turnout than it was last year.
Hmm.
Don't really know why, but it was pretty good. I mean, there was one guy that when we got to our like man, he probably was running like a 15-minute 5K. Um
That's crazy.
but there wasn't a whole lot of people that was necessarily up there. I mean, there might have been, I'm trying to think, 25 to 30 people maybe ahead of me,
Hmm.
roughly. But then by the time, like, after the first mile, but I mean, by the time probably got to the finish, I probably passed like 7 or 8 of those. So, um, I mean, yeah, there's some people that were definitely like running really well, but by the time we got to our first mile marker, the because we kind of backtrack on each other,
Hmm.
the dude that was ahead and in first was passing by back, and he was probably, I would say, at least 3/4 of a mile ahead of me, and
God damn.
we were already at the first mile. So yeah, he was probably at least 3/4 of a mile to almost a mile ahead of where I was. Um, so he was, yeah, he was booking it. I don't know who the hell he was, but he was on it. And then he
That,
was still probably, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 tenths of a mile almost ahead of the people behind him. So he was long gone.
those 15-minute 5Kers, they are crazy to watch. And
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense at one point. It's like, I don't know how, like, you don't look like you're running fast, but like you're moving a lot.
in a 15-minute 5K, it's not even an Olympic standard. Like, usually all Olympians, they run it in like 14 something. It's it's crazy.
14 something. Fuck that.
Hmm.
I don't want to do that, but
Yeah.
I was just happy because I mean, the last 5K I ran by myself before this, like, um, I did like 26:10 or so about there. I don't know the exact time, but it was somewhere in there because I ended up running longer, so it's not like I was able to mark it very well.
Hmm.
Um, but and so I knew, I was like, I should be able to hit 25 no matter what. Just running with other people and kind of the being at the event itself definitely was gonna help. So it did. Um, and that was the thing. Even my uncle was saying, like, when he was, I guess, just running for it, compared to my aunt would just run on the treadmill. He would actually go out and run, and he's like, man, when I was just leisurely running by myself, he's like, I'd probably average like a 9 or something. He's like, so I'd average like a 27-minute 5K, and that'd be about it. Uh, so I mean, I was kind of doing the same. I was going a little faster, but I mean, and that was it on my birthday or the day before, a couple of weeks ago. I ran a 7 under 7 minute mile, which is the first time I've ever done that. So that was
There you
cool.
go. That's pretty
So
impressive.
that hurt by the end of it. I was like, I don't like it. Like,
I
it didn't
bet.
last long, but then at the same time, it's like once you're done, you're like, holy shit. It
Yeah,
wasn't
how I
no
get through
bueno.
those kind of workouts is it's like no matter what kind of like effort you put in, like you can either, you know, do it halfway, like put 50% into a workout, or you could put your 110%. But either way, 5 to 10 minutes afterwards, you're gonna feel fine. Like you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
then
like,
that's also the thing, when I was running on my own, so, several of the times that I went and did a 5K in general, I would start out faster than I should have been. And that's one
Mm.
thing, like, if I ever do longer races, like a half marathon, excuse me, coughing on air, or a marathon, I gotta learn that I just gotta start slow and just keep it
Mm-hmm.
and stay there. Because even at that pace, like, after 10 miles, it's gonna be exhausting. Like,
Yeah.
because there's times when I would like start some of my 5Ks, I'd look at my pace and I wasn't paying attention. I was just kind of running, and then I'd look at my Fitbit and I was running like a 7 minute mile pace at the time, and I was like, I was like, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll slow down a bit, and then I'd still be doing like a 7:45, and I'd be like, I don't know, maybe I'll hold that, and then it's like by the time I'm on like mile 2.5, my pace is more like a 8:30 or 40, so it like
Mm.
gradually just slowed down a bit without me necessarily recognizing it. And it's like, man, why the hell when I get started am I running fast? It's just because like I don't have that lactic build up. I feel loose, so like when you first start running, you don't even necessarily realize when you're like going for a decent jog or starting off, you don't realize, like, at least I don't half the time, how fast I am going, and that it's going to be to a detriment if I'm trying to keep pace. So that was something like when I
Yeah.
was training for this a little more, I was like, I can't go too fast. And then that was the thing, even when we started on the first mile yesterday, there for a minute, we were probably under an 8 minute pace, at least on my watch that I was getting. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think I'm gonna try fucking holding this. Like, I'm gonna at least try keeping pace with him. So my uncle
Mm.
definitely did push me because I was like, I can't let this man beat me.
Of course.
So I was like, I'm not gonna slow down. Um, so that definitely helped. It's like without a running partner, it's so much harder because you get in your head so much more. And
Yeah.
you get in your head even like running with people, but it's like if they're doing it, I gotta do it kind of thing. It's almost like peer pressure
Yeah, in a
in a
way.
way.
It's it's good. It, I mean, it's like really good to have that person like push you. But yeah.
But all right, so I do have. I mean, in the last episode, we did have, or I was able to get some voice messages from some people to answer some questions on for the podcast. I do encourage people to do that. It's a lot cool. Either DM on Instagram, um, send a voice message on Anchor if you have that, or I'm gonna have questions and polls on um, every podcast episode on Spotify. Just ask any question there or anything like that that we can possibly answer on the podcast. So I do appreciate it.
Yes.
Um, so we did have one uh, from the last episode, and their question was, well, there's a couple. So, um, so one was very simple. What's your favorite season? So we'll start with that.
Our favorite season, like weather
Yeah,
season.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Um. Huh. That's a hard one. I would have to say fall,
Yep,
just
I
because
was
I have
about to
so
say the
many.
same thing.
I feel like everyone says that, but like I just have so many good memories in fall.
I feel like that's true for me, I guess, when it comes to just basing it on the season itself. Like I like spring, like right now and here it's been amazing. Like it's been like sitting mid to low 70s for the past like 2 weeks. We haven't
It's
had a
not been
crap ton of
amazing
rain.
here.
It's been
It's
perfect here.
it
It's
sucks here right now.
well, let's just say this week it's supposed to get up to like 97.
Like,
So, I mean, it's gonna get hot, but like,
see, here it's like it gets warm. It gets pretty warm right now, but it's raining. Like yesterday, I think it got up to almost 80. But it would
yeah, it's
rain
a little warm.
like every hour. And so then it just got so muggy, and it's like you would go outside when it was like really sunny, and then before you know it, it's like pouring down rain again. But at least the fires won't be as bad this year.
Yeah, I
Uh,
it's. I was gonna say I like spring. It's just at one point, some springs there's so much rain, is really, really, really annoying. And that's the downside of spring, I feel like. Summer I'm not against, but I'm not a big fan of the heat. So like when you get into like mid-July, especially in
Hmm.
Indiana, if it's like 90, like this week it's not going to be fun when it hits those highs. When it's like 95, 97 and it's humid, um
Yeah.
it's not fun at all. Like we'll have 90% humidity and it'll be at 94 out. So it feels like it's like 110 at least. Um so that's not fun. And then I just like fall because I like it when it's like 50 to 60 degrees where it's like I need a hoodie, I need to wear jeans or sweatpants at times. You can have bonfires, you can hang out, the leaves are changing, like all that kind of stuff. I enjoy that feeling. It's fun. So like I don't know, go shopping, get coffee with people. I don't just shit like that. Like it's fun. So
Yeah.
I think we would both agree fall's pretty cool.
Yes. It's pretty great.
Especially in Indiana. Like people out in Oregon don't or at least on the east side of this country, it's more enjoyable because people basically I would well I don't know, I don't know where it cuts off, but I would probably say what maybe what's past Missouri, I don't know, maybe Utah and west, or maybe even a little closer. They don't necessarily experience fall because they don't have like leaf changes. They don't like the weather sometimes doesn't necessarily change a whole lot. It's just
That,
different.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the leaves don't change, but the weather is pretty nice. I mean, that's when
Yeah.
it does start raining. The rain should be gone by now. It should stop raining, but it isn't. Usually by fall, the rain starts up, but it's also like you have some beautiful days where it's just like, I don't know, like 75, and it's just like perfect weather.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay,
So,
so next question. Okay, so I guess it's kind of a two-parter. I'll start with the easier question, I guess.
uh-huh,
Was So I'll just read the whole question. We'll start with the easy one and then go to the harder one. So they
sounds good.
said, any advice about anxiety? I'm always scared when I go to open shows with my animals. I shake a ton and don't eat the whole day. And then also, did you ever do 4-H camp slash mini? So let's start with the last one, I guess. I didn't go to camp. I was a camp counselor twice. I was a mini 4-H camp counselor as long as I could. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is, like 6 years, 7 years. So that, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. I did that. Uh, did you do either of those? Did
Yeah,
you go to camp?
I don't I don't think I went to camp. I know I went to 4-H camp, like the one
Yeah,
at
yeah.
I did that.
Shaq Mac.
Yeah, Shaq and Mac. I did that. That was fun. But I was
I think
also
that's
a
what they were
counselor,
asking.
and
Yeah, I
so
my parents tried talking me into going to camp, but at the time, at that point in my life, I was super shy.
mhm.
Uh, didn't like being around a lot of people or public speaking. Like I got really nervous. So like my parents would be like, "Yeah, come on, go to camp. It's a lot of fun. You'll meet friends." And I'm like, "You know what? I think I'm fine without them. I'm just gonna stay here." Like I don't wanna, because who am I gonna camp with? Like that was my thing. I was like, I don't know anyone. Why would I go?
Good
And
point.
my parents were like, that's the whole point of going, is to meet people. And at that time, I didn't get that. But then, like, when I went to academy and stuff like that later, like a few years later, after I couldn't go to camp anymore, I, I, I don't know, I got out of my shell more and was more extroverted when it came to stuff like that. And so it's just something you'll get used to with some people. But yeah, so I never went to camp. I did counsel for was it 2 years? I had only been one, but the year I did go, because I don't think you were there, we had three kids go to the ER.
Yep, I was not there. I wish that would have been fun.
I can remember two off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there was a third one. One was there was a child. Okay, so you know Samuel, right? My cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and you know Kyle Colbert,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I think they were both counselors in the same cabin. And you know how those two are in general, especially with kids. They're crazy. So imagine a cabin full of young boys and then
Yeah.
them being in charge. Um, so they like took a bunch of socks and made it into basically a ball. And they're playing football and catch in the cabin and stuff like that. And I think a kid somehow fell off of a bunk bed or was doing something or got like knocked over and hit his head on the concrete floor.
Oh.
And I think had a slight concussion and went to the hospital. Um, and then I think another kid ended up with a concussion for a different reason. But in one of the group activities, I was not even around for this one because I was doing fishing that year. So I was isolated over by the lake. If anybody's been, I was on that dock basically the whole time. Um, and I think my sister was there as a camper that year, and she was in the group that this happened to, and she told me afterwards because she explained it. But I guess they were doing like do you remember like the old 2 liter bottle rocket things where you like pressurize the bottle with like a little air pump and you put some
Oh
stuff
yeah.
in it and it like shoots up?
Yeah.
I guess they were doing that, and this one kid kept, for some stupid reason, put their head over the bottle. I don't know why, because there's nothing to look at. So they were like leaning over and looking at it, and I think she was the kid that it happened to is even in my sister's group. And they
Mm-hmm.
told her several times to stop doing that because they didn't know when the bottle was going to go off. And of course, she didn't. And then the bottle shot up and smacked her right in the head. And I mean,
Oh.
those things are really pressurized. I mean, they'll shoot 50 feet in the air. So I think she ended up with a minor concussion as well. um, so,
That's what she gets.
yeah, I mean, there was a lot that happened that year. I mean, it rained for almost a day straight, so we did miss out on some activities. Within, I think, 10 minutes of me and my campers being in our cabin, we broke a bunk bed.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I don't know how that happened, but it just did. Um,
Dude.
like no one was even jumping on it. It just kind of like collapsed. Luckily, no one was under them, and like the top bed just fell in. Uh, one of the counselors I was with, thank God, brought candy to bribe the children, which was amazing
Oh,
and
that's
very
smart.
useful.
Man, I
Yeah.
didn't do any of that. I just made them do burpees.
I had one kid for some reason that kind of freaked out, got mad, and then crawled under the bunk bed and hid. It was weird. Um,
Hmm.
and then I think on my sister's cabin one night, she told me that there was a raccoon that came up to the door. It was
Nice.
scratching at the door, and I think because I think there's a was it a screen door or a glass door on the cabins or something,
Yeah.
and I guess the campers and the counselors, all of them were freaking out, and then my sister's just sitting there like really, and they're like freaking out that somehow it was gonna get in, and it kept coming back, and so they didn't get a lot of sleep because like or she didn't because like the counselors were freaking out and screaming because there's a raccoon um
That's so
trying to get it
stupid.
trying to get in. I
Gosh.
mean, you got kids that are fifth grade and under, and at that point, probably a counselor that was only 14. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
it it was an interesting year, I guess, to say the least.
Sounds like it.
But okay, so now on the bigger question, any advices about anxiety in general? But I think they were asking, especially when it comes to showing, um, animals and doing stuff with that. I mean, I'm trying to think back to even when I was younger and showing. I mean, I got nervous um I guess to the buildup of the show, because I was worried about stuff going wrong or something along those lines. Um, but honestly, I feel like when I got into the show arena, showing pigs and everything, I was still nervous because I didn't like being in front of people. But
Mm-hmm.
in those situations, the thing that would get me the most was talking in front of people. So
Yeah.
when it came to showing, I didn't necessarily have to do that. So it wasn't as bad. But then also when I got in there and I got started, I didn't focus on the crowd. I focused on the judge. I focused on what I was doing. I kind of blocked everything else out and didn't think about it. So I don't think I ever had a situation necessarily where I got super nervous when it came to um, showing itself. Um, I mean, I know I had some times where I got really, really flustered and embarrassed because my pig acted up a few years, or I had just like that one pig that was not working with me at all that day. Um, and I got embarrassed because of that. And like maybe my pig started running, or it knew where the exit gate was and just kept going for the exit and didn't want to listen, and like those situations. But I mean, I got embarrassed in those senses, and I got nervous, not necessarily from the crowd, but just from, I guess, the judge kind of thing, being like,
Mm.
I felt like I've messed up because like my animal's not cooperating, so that's why I felt bad, because I was like, well, that just kind of shot my chances of possibly winning the class or something along those lines. I did have a few times, or I think I did have a opportunity where my pig was still good enough that I was able to walk him enough. He did act up, but I still think I either won the class or I got second. Um, so I did get lucky a couple times in that sense. But when it comes to showing, how you show the pig can definitely help with presentation and moving up through the ranks. So when your pig just doesn't want to work with you in particular, it just makes it harder to even give your chance the opportunity to get into the next show for possibly champion or something along those lines. I mean,
Yeah.
did you ever deal with like showman nervousness or anxiety?
Oh yeah. I dealt with it all the time. Um, how I would recommend dealing with it is kind of before you go out, um, think back to all the work you've put in and think back to everything you've done and knowing that that work is going to pay off. Um, knowing that as soon as you step into that arena, um, that you know what happens happens. Um, just do your best. Focus on the judge. Don't focus on anybody in the crowd. Don't think
Exactly.
about your mom. Don't think about your dad. Don't think about anything besides just showing and knowing how your animal acts, even if they act up. Just
Yep.
stay calm because the calmer you
Yeah.
stay, that's going to be the better performance. Um, if you're still freaking out, take 3 deep breaths.
Yes.
Count. One thing I've done now when I've had really bad anxiety is I count back from 10. So I go 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1. And then as soon as I hit 1, I go all the way up to 10. And you can just do that in your head while you're staring at the judge and still, focusing on the task at hand. But that's what I would recommend. Just stay focused,
Definitely.
knowing that the work you put in is going to pay off. And yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like it's gotten worse over the years from how I've heard from like my parents and when they were in it. Like
it's
there
definitely
was
gotten worse.
competition, but now it's harder to do well because more people put money into projects. But then not
Lots of
only,
money.
especially in our county, um, but not only that, but I feel like the thing that that gets to 4-Hers the most is, I think, stress from family members more than the stress of showing. I know that
Oh
I've
yeah.
dealt with that probably more than actually showing itself. It's not the showing that I think gets me most of the time or has in the past. Because I know I've had, like, during the fair, I love the fair, but it is a very emotionally taxing, stressful day, especially on show day. And if you have
Oh yeah.
livestock, several species, and you're showing 3 or 4 days of the fair, it makes it a lot harder in that sense. But I feel like the times that I have broken down have been afterwards, after I'm done showing. I've never had any issues necessarily in the show arena, but it's definitely been afterwards where you get flustered. It's 90 degrees in there. It's hot as hell. You're wearing long sleeves of jeans for some goddamn reason, and it's 95 outside. Um,
Yeah.
and you gotta try to keep face, and then you, me personally, you might have possibly parents or grandparents that kind of just get nag on you because I mean, they want you to do well, but they're like, oh, you should have done this, whatever else,
Yeah, this is the
and,
thing.
and
Like,
they think they're helping, and at one point, I guess they're not at times. Like, I know they're trying to be supportive, but it it doesn't help when you just went through that situation. If you did have an issue with your animal, for them to then say, like, what, like, whatever it is they're talking about. And sometimes, yeah, it might have been my fault, but at that point it's like I can't change what just happened, so don't,
mhm.
like, pin it and put pressure on me, especially when you're really young as a 4-H'er.
Yeah, like I feel like parents and grandparents and like family members sometimes put too much pressure on the kids,
It's like
and they
sports.
don't let them have the fun and learning experience that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I feel like that's probably very detrimental to a kid's performance because as soon as they step in that arena, they're just thinking, I don't want to let my mom down and I don't want to see anybody scream at me afterwards.
Yes.
Because I've seen families at 4-H actually scream at their kid after they get out and if they messed up, and it's just like,
Yep.
why? Like the kid wasn't going to
It's
win
bad.
any money. That
Yep.
like if they did the best ever, they're going to take home a plastic trophy.
And
And
I don't know it.
all my
I don't.
trophies are in a box in my closet.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know where mine are. I think they're in the
I know
same
actually I
situation right now.
donated all mine back. After my 10 years, I donated all my trophies, all my ribbons. I gave
I don't
them
have
all
many.
back because I'm just like I don't need them anymore.
Well, you have medals. I don't. So I kept what I kept what I got.
I mean, yeah, Oser was bigger in my life than 4-H was, but
Yeah.
4-H still
It,
was
it's kind
pretty
of
big in my life.
it's weird. Like, it reminds me of sports at times, but honestly, I feel like being at sports events, being around some people that have been in sports, I feel like 4-H is somehow worse, and which is weird because there's more money wrapped up in 4-H, and I know that's some of the parents, um, like, reasoning for their kids to do well is to get scholarships. There's more of that wrapped up in sports than there is in 4-H, but um, I don't know. Like, I feel like with how my uncle and my mom and aunts talked, it's like 4-H used to be almost more competitive because you couldn't necessarily buy your way in at one point by just the standards at the time when it came to the livestock. It was different than it is now. So you couldn't necessarily just buy a $3,000 pig and be guaranteed to basically win. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, the people that do buy big still work hard with the animal. Um,
I would disagree.
it depends on what animal it is.
It
Pigs,
depends on the
it's
family.
different,
It depends on the
and that
family
too.
because there's um
And I feel like it also
there's
depends on livestock,
yeah,
because there's some livestock that's easier to just kind of like buy
there's a
it and
couple
it just kind of
families
does
out
its own
there
thing.
that they would buy the most expensive cow, like a 30 grand cow,
Hmm.
um, and then they would also hire people to come in throughout the day, work with the
Yeah.
cow, and
Yeah.
then like the person showing would never even touch the cow until the show day, and it's just like
Yeah.
that's
Sadly.
pretty screwed up.
I mean, I
Pretty
never
screwed up.
had a lot of livestock, and I know that there's people that definitely were more dedicated than I was around my age range. But
Same.
I mean, in the summer, when it came to pigs and everything, and I know that like for my mom and uncle and stuff, they like there was different standards back then, so it was a little at times I feel like a little simpler with showmanship in certain ways. So they would have out of the three siblings, I think like 15 to 20 pigs between them and their cousins, and but also their pigs probably costed like maybe $100 a pop, roughly when they bought them. Where now it's
Mm-hmm.
like to even get a decent pig, you got to probably spend at least 300 or more. Um,
Oh yeah.
and then they would walk them like 4 miles a day. So they would walk them a shit ton. But when like I would do it, when I would work with my animals, it was like in the morning. It wasn't usually anything too major. It depends. There was a few years we would walk them a little bit in the mornings, um, for probably 15 minutes or more. But we do like two pigs at a time. Sometimes we'd walk them in a larger group, and then there'd
Mm-hmm.
be other times we'd take them one on one to just kind of work with them. But I think on average, I might have spent 2 to 3 hours a day messing with them between walking them, cleaning pens, probably washing them, lotion, feed, um, just a bunch of random stuff. But I mean, it's a process, and some people don't put in any time, sadly, when it comes to some 4-Hers. But then there are some that definitely put in a lot, and
Oh yeah.
um, it just depends. There are some families that spend a lot of money, and their kid puts a lot of time and effort into it. And like you said, there's also some that spend a lot of money, and the 4-Her doesn't necessarily do anything. Uh, it's That's the thing with our county fair in general. We have a fairly small county fair when it comes to livestock size, but the standard of quality in our fair when it comes to overall livestock and showmen in the county in the state is very very high. So our competition is rough. Like
Mm-hmm.
my senior showmanship group was ridiculous. Like the people I was up against, like everybody was good. Like, and most of the people even on some of the lower end for some of our livestock in certain situations, like our average at like if you took some of our average livestock and took it to other fairs, could
Mm-hmm.
possibly easily win. Like it, like Tipton's standards are crazy, and
Yeah, they
and
are.
it's hard. It makes it challenging. It really does. It
Yeah, but
and
I guess it's a good lesson to the kids that life is not fair. And
no, it's not always fair,
but
and that
going
was the
back,
thing. I knew that
going
I
back to like 5 minutes before where you said that you think 4-H is like more competitive than sports. I would almost have to disagree because
it. I mean
sports
it.
gets like families are hard on kids in sports, especially like football families. Like,
Yeah,
holy
but
crap.
I guess in my sense is with like sports at one point it is just the kid. So it's the kid's ability. So I mean sometimes it definitely has probably a harder weight on the person, but
Mm-hmm.
there's more financial or not incentives, but more financial burden when it comes to 4-H. I feel like because at one point the families that want to see their kids do good that spend a lot of money getting equipment, trailers, animals, like anything and everything, spending a shit ton of money on specific feed, and then their kid doesn't do well. I feel like that's why. when it comes to like sports, at one point it's like, okay, yeah, you buy them, you got to pay for their cleats, you got to pay for certain things depending on what it is, but there's not a bunch of like, it's not possibly depending on like families, like when you compare really good sports players to really good 4-Hers and families, like it doesn't cost $20,000 a year possibly to have someone play basketball well at their
That's true.
school. So
Is there
that's
such a
why I
thing as a
think it can be
professional
heated.
4-H'er though? Like, is it
I mean,
professional show
there's
people?
professional showmen. Yeah, yeah, no,
Oh,
definitely. Because once you get up in like showmanship and certain standards, and you're really high, or you're a breeder. Oh yeah, they're like, you want what's it, because I mean, I know pigs the best just because that's what I showed. But
mm-hmm.
if you have a person that is a breeder that has a boar in particular, those shows are super, can be super high priced, because then at one point, if it's a boar and you win all these shows and someone's able to show it and it gets like grand boar nationally or something crazy like that, that means that person can then have that boar for years, sell semen, and make like probably by the end of the life of that boar, hundreds of thousands of dollars from that one pig.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
so it definitely, once it gets to like a really high level, can be, I guess, on a professional note on like a national level. Um, but it's different because at that point it's not even necessarily 4-H. It's just livestock shows. Like it's separate. But yeah, I love 4-H, but there's definitely times that it gets rough.
Yeah.
And I guess just to finish off that question in general, like what you said and what I said, I feel like it's both good. At one point, it's like just take deep breaths. It definitely helps. You got to understand that whatever happens. You can't change it. You just kind of got to go with the flow. Don't focus on everybody else. Just do your best. Enjoy it, because you won't be doing it forever, and at one point you will miss it. So just kind of enjoy the moment and don't worry about what happens, and just uh, you'll get through it. And
Yeah.
certain things that you might deal with, you might end up growing out of in a few years. It's something that you'll just change and adapt, um, and figure out stuff. Like personally, there might be certain things that work better for you than what works for me or Noah. So just keep that in mind and understand that it the, the pressure isn't shouldn't be on you to begin with at times when it comes to 4-H, but it is. So it just keep pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is my big thing.
Yeah.
But all right, so this is just a quick story. I don't know why this is in the news, but I saw this the other day. Um, Kind of random. I just thought I'd bring it up. I get clickbait. Justin Bieber is sick.
Paralyzed.
Yeah, he's paralyzed. He cannot perform because half of his face is frozen. Um, he apparently has been tested and has Ramsey Hunt
Mm-hmm.
syndrome, which apparently is some shingles flare up thing that, if it's near certain nerves in the face, will cause some of the muscles to kind of freeze up. So
Mm.
he posted something on Instagram, and if you look at the video closely, you can see that part of his facial structure and his muscles aren't really moving as the other side is. Um, so he canceled some performances over the next, I think, coming weeks.
That that sucks.
Poor Justin
Like,
Bieber fans out there. Sounds like
poor
you got to
Justin
listen to
Bieber.
someone else.
He's no longer a pretty boy.
Oh, I think he's still a pretty boy, even if
Yeah,
his face was frozen.
that's true.
I think he'll do all right.
Yeah.
But okay, so I also, bringing back what we did a few weeks ago, I have a couple weird facts to tell you. I want to see what you think of these.
Sounds
All
good.
right. So, number one, I don't know how weird this is, But did you know that squirrels are behind most power outages in the United States?
I did actually know that.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Squirrels are the worst.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say that, but yeah, so the American Public Power Association says that squirrels are the most frequent causes of power outages in the US. And they have
Mm.
even developed a data tracker called the Squirrel Index. This analyzes the patterns and timing squirrels impact an electrical power system. Turns out that the peak times of the year squirrels attack are in May, June, and October to November. May to June and October to November.
You.
I did not realize that. I thought that was really weird and goofy. Um, but okay, so another one. Did you know spider webs were used as bandages in ancient times?
I actually knew that one too.
Damn,
We learned that in
man,
history class.
why did you learn that in history? I never learned that in history.
I was homeschooled.
Huh. That's true. You look at weird stuff. Yeah, apparently in ancient Greece and Rome, doctors used spider webs to make bandages for their patients and were supposedly natural antiseptic and antifungal properties. So it was actually pretty cool. That's not really a fact. I don't want to use that one. I think I don't know if I told this one last time. I might have told someone else. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Did you know that 1/4 of all bones are located in your feet?
I knew that one too.
Damn it. Okay. I'm gonna keep going until we find something you don't know.
Okay.
You're um. Oh, this one. You're more likely to get a computer virus from visiting religious sites than porn sites.
I didn't know that one, but it makes sense.
Boom.
That makes a lot of sense.
This is another good one, which I think I've heard at one point or another, but had forgotten. Did you know the inventor of the Pringles is now buried in a giant can of Pringles?
I knew that one. That one.
Ah,
I
dang
would.
it.
I hope someone buries me in a giant can of Pringles.
He died at
Alright.
89.
I got an 89.
No, he died at 89 and
Oh,
then
I'm
was
like, I didn't
buried
know I
in
was
a
getting
giant.
graded on that.
Yeah, you got a score.
I was like, what?
Uh, did you know cotton candy was invented by a dentist?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
No, you did not. No, you did not. You did not know that.
Yeah, no, I did actually. Because, so it was in, what book
You're
was
lying
it?
to me.
My mom had this book. It was like 100 weird facts or something, and it was
I'm
in
gonna
that.
throw something at you. No way. Well, I'm
What,
still
what
shocked.
were the
It was
benefits of it? I forget.
um yeah,
Why
let
did
me
he,
read.
why did he do
John
that?
went to or dentist William Morrison invented a machine spun cotton candy in 1897. It was first introduced in the 1904 World's Fair as fairy floss. Then another dentist, Joseph Lescox, reinvented the machine in 1921. He came up with the name cotton candy, which replaced candy floss or fairy floss. They don't say any reason to why dentist made it. I don't know. Maybe they just came up with it. Um, hmm.
So he
Damn
made
it.
it as a type of floss?
At least that was the name. Uh, I don't. That's weird. Um, I'm trying to think. Come on. Wait. What? Okay, I don't. I don't even know what this means. Children of identical twins are genetically siblings, not cousins. What?
Wait, say that again?
Whoa, that actually makes sense.
Wait, say that again?
Oh, okay. So children, you
Yeah,
have twins. Like you
yeah.
birth them. You have identical twins. Your grandkids are genetically siblings, not cousins. Because you basically birth the same person. Like the so it says here Cousins whose parents are identical twins share 25% of their DNA instead of the usual 12.5%, while full siblings share 25% of their or 50% of their DNA. Half siblings share 25%. That's why through children of identical twins are legally cousins, they are genetically the equivalent of half siblings. Whoa.
That's crazy.
I mean, it makes sense. I've never heard that, and I was kind of confused, but you read it, and it adds up.
Wow. Biology's crazy.
Yeah, genetics. Ooh.
What just learn about that?
Oh, did you know that a cornflake in the shape of Illinois sold on eBay for $1,300 in 2008? Wahaha.
That's pretty impressive.
The amount of copper on the Arizona Capitol building roof is equivalent to nearly 5 million pennies.
That's a lot of pennies.
That's a lot of copper.
A lot of pennies.
So I think I'll say one more. Let me. Nope, that's not good. Let me find a. Oh. I guess that's kind of interesting. This one also has to deal with birth. This is the last fact. A woman with 2 uteruses gave birth to twins less than a month after having a baby.
What?
So this woman somehow has 2 uteruses in her body. She is a genetic.
She gave birth to a kid, and then a month
so she
later
got
gave
pregnant
birth to 2 more kids.
Yeah, so she basically has 2 uteral sacs, so she could have multiple children at once. So one uterus had 1 child, and the second uterus ended up with twins. So she had 3 babies in a month. Difference. So it says,
poor lady.
Okay, so when most people have a baby, they typically wait a little while before even thinking about another child. But this wasn't the option for a woman in Bangladesh who unexpectedly gave birth to twins in March of 2019, less than a month after having another newborn. The highly unusual circumstances came about because the woman has 2 uteruses and were both able to successfully carry the 3 healthy children to term. However, the mother's doctor did admit, "We were very shocked and surprised. I have never observed something like this before." Whoa.
That poor lady.
Ta-da.
Dude. I don't like that fact.
I mean, it's kind of cool, and it's weird that she didn't. Well, it's in Bangladesh. I don't know. Maybe she didn't have an ultrasound. I don't know how that would work.
I don't know either.
Maybe they just didn't see it. Maybe it was just like.
That would not be comfortable. I feel like.
I don't know if she would notice a difference from 1 to 3. I mean,
I feel
you know about the woman that had like 8 babies at once, right?
Yeah, I did know about that.
But I think she took medication to even allow her body to release that many eggs at once.
She would have to.
Yeah, I don't think that was a fully natural process, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, so I'm not going to say too much. All right, so I got something. I did partially steal some of this information from another podcast, sorta, but it's some stories in the news of some interesting things that are happening. Potential heroes, or one is, I guess, a hero, and save someone's life. All right, so uno hero possibility. Somewhere, I don't know where. I didn't get a city, but they're training rats to run around with little backpacks and training them to dig or fit through rubble to find people in earthquake aftermaths, and natural disasters. So they're training rats to basically, I'm guessing, have little backpacks with GPS and mics to like travel through rubble to try finding victims in a natural disaster of some sort, so that it can hopefully speed up the process on locating possible survivors.
That's pretty sick.
So, I'm trying to think. I mean, we don't necessarily have earthquakes in Indiana. I can recall one in my lifetime, technically.
Me too.
Um, do you remember that one? It was like
Uh,
on Christmas or something. Was it Christmas or New
I
or
think it was. I don't know. I don't
Christmas
remember. I
Christmas
just
Eve?
remember it happened in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
whole place shook
Yeah.
for
It
like a
was.
couple seconds,
I
and
didn't
I
think it was
thought
real. Like when
I
it
thought
started
Nathan.
happening, I just stood there.
I thought my brother was just playing without me. I'm like, dude, what the heck, man? Wake me up.
What? How does that
Yeah,
even work?
I thought he was just jumping around the house, and so I jumped up. I'm like, dude, where's
Yeah,
Nathan? And he was
I was
asleep.
gonna
I'm like, how did he
I was
do
gonna
this?
I was gonna say I think I was it was on Christmas break, and the house just started shaking, and like at first I thought I was seeing shit, and then I saw like stuff shaking on the walls, and I was like, well, that's weird, and then it just kind of ended within like 10 seconds, and then I was like I just kind of like looked at my dad, I was like, what the hell is that? And it turned out Indiana, which I don't even know why or where, because I don't know where the closest fault line is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a point nine or lower earthquake, so it was like very very light, but it was just
Mm-hmm.
like it was so weird because I've never at that point ever experienced anything like it, and still haven't since. But it was just like, what the hell was that? Like, just kind of threw me off.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Okay,
Pretty
so
crazy.
the hero, which we kind of talked about as possible cousins earlier, and I showed some of them. A pig saved their veteran owner from a fire in New Jersey. This pig, named Hamilton, weighing in at 500 pounds, is a pet that lives in an apartment, lives with their owner in New Jersey. And I guess their house caught fire,
Mm.
and when they left, the pig shut um, the garage door as they left, and it had helped slow the progression of the fire through the building and to others, and possibly saved lives.
Did
So
the pig live? Is the pig alive?
yes, the pig is alive. The owner is alive. I don't think anybody was harmed.
Wow.
So I think that pig deserves a medal of some sort. People in New
That,
Jersey, don't eat this pig.
that
It's a big pig, 500 pounds for a pet in New
that is a
Jersey.
pretty big pig. Good job, Hamilton. I'm proud of you.
But yeah, I guess this pig was like trained to close doors. So as they left, the pig just decided to close the door, and in the result of it, it did help slow the fire down, from spreading. So it allowed time for firefighters to get on scene, and allowed less destruction,
Mm.
from the fire impact. So
Good
that's pretty
job,
cool.
pig. That's so cool.
This is why everybody needs to have a pet pig, because it will save your life. And if the apocalypse ever happens, and you get hungry, you
You
also
can
have
eat
some
it.
bacon.
Bacon
So
is pretty good.
it is tasty.
It
Um,
is very tasty.
all right. So speaking of pennies, from our fun fact there a few minutes ago, I don't know if you have ever heard of Ryan Trahan.
I have not. Oh, wait. Yeah. Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude.
Okay, who is
Yeah.
he? I'm curious. What do you know? Who is this
I've
fella?
watched his channel for like a while, but he does a lot of those. He does a lot of challenges. Um, like when I first saw him, he's done the what was it? Uh, dude, it's even on the Google form you put. But he did like the survive off a penny for 30 days. He's done that like a couple of times, and like that's where I first kind of saw him because he did those kind of challenges. But like he seems like a really cool, nice dude, and he's like a really strong Christian dude as well.
Yeah, so Ryan Trahan is a YouTuber, and he does a lot of vlogs, challenges, commentaries, lifestyle videos, anything along those lines. Um, I've seen him before, but I hadn't really watched any of his content. But he was born in 1998. He is 23, and he is from a small town of England Lake, Texas. Um, and so he was valedictorian apparently, and he come from a town with almost like only 3,000 people. So from a very small town that we can kind of relate to, and now within the past, I'd say probably a year and a half to 2 years is kind of blown up on YouTube. He's like 8.3 million subs on YouTube. And like you said, he has done like a penny challenge thing, I guess is the
Mm-hmm.
best way to describe it. Um, so he's done that in the past where it's been 24 hours, 50 hours. He does like weird challenges with that. But I've been watching some stuff on him recently, and he's doing a new penny challenge, but more difficult. So he's starting. So the whole point of this is he's surviving on a penny for 30 days, but the extra twist is that he is trying to get across the country to deliver a penny to Mr. Beast. So he's trying to get to North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. So it's pretty interesting. I kind of heard about it. I think I saw the first thumbnail of it, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," but I didn't watch it because I didn't realize what it was or what it was about. And I kind of heard more, and I got interested and started watching it. I've watched every video so far. Um, so it's actually become basically a daily vlog, type of thing where I think at this point the videos might be 2 days behind where he actually is in real time. But and so they're doing all this, they're editing it and then getting it out in 2 days. So he's starting with one penny and he has to work his way up, find ways to make money to then find means of transport to slowly get across the United States by the end of the 30 days to Mr. Beast's location. But alongside that, as he's doing this, is he's doing a fundraiser to raise money for um, Feeding America. So it was his thing is one penny, 1 million meals. So his goal was to raise $100,000 to donate to Feeding America, because I think it's basically every dollar donated is 10 meals, I believe.
Mm.
Um,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So he is on day, I think today, whenever he posts, he is on day, what's today? Today's June 12th. So he's on day 12. Um, and so I've watched every video of it so far because it is pretty entertaining. It's interesting. And within that time, he has already raised over, which I don't know if this accounts because I know there's two different fundraisers on Feeding America itself and on YouTube. But on
Mm-hmm.
the Feeding America page, he's already raised $500,000 in donations, which would be over 5 million meals um, for the foundation. And a thing that kind of goes along with that is not only that he's trying to raise money to feed America, but he's also raised, I think, on YouTube, it's showing $237,000. So I don't know if that's already included in Feeding America or if these are two separate numbers, which in that case, he's raised almost 7 million meals within 12 days, um, just from people donating from his videos. I think every video has basically gotten every day almost been a million views, um, if not more. Like he's been on trending every day, and they've been super entertaining videos. And he's found different ways to make money and work his way along. And so he started in LA, and I don't know, it's pretty cool, and I kind of wanted to bring some light to it to people that didn't know, and I'm probably definitely gonna donate before the end of this and go from there. But it was really awesome. I wasn't sure if you heard about it.
Yeah. I've seen a couple things about it. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty. Hopefully someday I can do something like that. That'd be that'd be kind of fun.
So part of the incentives to donate is one is just to donate and raise money, but so he's had some things to kind of get more people to spend more money. So basically, if you donate $1,000, your name ends up in the video
Mm.
or at the end of the video. If you donate 5,000, you get a verbal shout out in the video or a verbal thank you, and then if you donate $50,000, um, he gets reset back to 1 penny. So basically, whatever money cash he has on hand, he can't use it. If he has bought anything like a plane ticket or any items, he gets to keep those. But if it's just cash and someone donates 50 grand, he gets reset back to 1 penny. So, like I said, he's several days behind when it comes to when the video's released to real time.
Yeah.
Um, so like he got reset technically, I think, off of the third or fourth video, but he wasn't able to see it, and it wasn't caught up in time with the videos until like the 10th episode almost, or I might have some of that timing wrong. So he has been reset once, and then the person then FaceTimed him and said that he was going to donate $100,000 and reset him again. Um, so as
Dang.
far as I'm aware, from the last episode, he has made his way to Denver, Colorado, and has luckily bought a plane ticket to another city, but he is stuck in Denver, I think, for 3 or 4 days until then because it was the cheapest flight he could find. So he got reset and has been having to figure out how to make money.
That's man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was very curious how how he's gonna do it, especially like I was just like, okay, what does this? How is he gonna make money? What all is he gonna do? I'm just kind of curious in the sense of how is he gonna just the journey itself is an interesting narrative, but I was curious how he was physically gonna do it, and so he in the first video he started out basically on Venice Beach with 1 penny, and then he traded that penny for a pen, and then he sold that pen for $1, and they took that dollar and bought a water,
Mm-hmm.
and then sold that water for $2. So he
Mm.
basically just kind of piggybacked his way to make some money to then eventually buy a case of water and a cooler and some pop and tried selling it on the beach and doing things that way. Um, Making money just basically as a mobile vendor on the beach. And his personality is kind of hilarious, kind of awkward and goofy, which I can relate to at times with how he reacts to certain things. And and then like the next day, I think he bought a bike off of like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and then did DoorDash with that. Um, so he's like found different ways to make money. He's slept in a hammock several times. The next city he was able to get to was Venice. What? That's where he started. He was able to get to Vegas, and then actually was able to stay in a hotel for like 4 days because it was only like $20 a night. And in several instances, he has made a decent amount of money. I think through the whole thing, he's probably made like $500-$600. Um, Off of doing different tasks or people just like giving him more than what he asked for on things, and just doing little jobs or selling stuff. He's probably made $600 or more, um, but he spent some of it on assets, or he's rented a car to DoorDash when he was in Denver, um, and found different ways to make some cash, and he's bought plane tickets and stuff like that. And part of the narrative that makes it kind of tense on his point is if he wanted to, he could stay in whatever city he's in and make $400 or $500 or whatever he needs to get a direct flight to um, South Carolina or North Carolina, sorry, uh, just from like door dashing for 3 or 4 days. But the issue being is he doesn't know if someone's gonna come through and reset him, and so he doesn't want to necessarily sit in one city, rake up and save, let's say, $500 for that one flight, and then before he's able to actually purchase the flight, if he's like has just less money than need be, and then gets reset and is back at square one. So there's kind of like a tension as he's going along where he doesn't know what's going to happen in the next day or two, if he's still going to have the money that he has currently, and what he's going to do to find ways to make money, and how he's going to get places. So like when he got reset, he still had to take his car back that he rented, and then he was just kind of stuck there because all he had was a penny. So he didn't have a form of transportation, so he took the shuttle to the airport and then tried getting some money in the airport. So he's trying to figure out ways to like try doing the same thing, like buy a water and sell it. But a water in the airport's like $3, and he didn't have $3. And then the only way for him to make money is to buy it and sell it for more. And he's like, no one's gonna buy a $4 or $5 water bottle. So he got kind of lucky in the situation he ended up in, and then ended up buying a train ticket for like $10 to get back into the city. So it's definitely going to be a journey. I'm curious to see what he does in the next coming days, but I definitely like him. He definitely preaches good character, and he's ran into a lot of very generous and kind people where he's been, and along with just making a very entertaining and fun YouTube series, and with that, he's also been raising a bunch of money to supply meals for families in need. So it's been really cool, and with that situation, he's delivering to Mr. Beast, and with that, I don't know if you saw. Did you see Mr. Beast's last or latest video?
I did.
Which one was it? I might let you take over.
It was the chocolate factory one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like so Mr. Beast, they had the chocolates. Like he sold a bunch of chocolates, and some of them had a golden ticket in it, just like Willy Wonka. And so a bunch of people bought them, and so I think it was like, I don't know, 10, 20 people got the ticket, and so they all got sent out to the chocolate factory, and they all did a handful of tasks, and whoever like won and was like the last person left at the end was given the chocolate factory. And probably the coolest task I found was where the last task, Gordon Ramsay showed up, and they all had to cook, and I'm very big in cooking and baking, so I found that pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
no, definitely.
so the guy who won, so Mr. Beast, like gave him the factory, but it's like, this is going to cost a lot to like keep up, and it's probably gonna be horrible. So can I buy back that factory for, was it $100,000 or $1,000,000 in cash?
It was $500,000.
Yeah, and so the dude took the 500,000, but it seemed like a pretty cool idea and new video that got put out.
No, yeah, I like Mr. Beast in particular. I would love to meet him in person at one point. He is, I love that he's so philanthropic with everything he does. But not only that, like he's I would say probably one of the most modern versions of an entrepreneur today and everything he does, and he's blown standards out of the water. I mean, he started making YouTube videos when he was like 13, was making like $1 a day by 17, um, and then dropped out of college and started actually making real money when he was like 18, 19.
Mm.
And then that's kind of like as we kind of knew him today. Like I watched him when he was at like 1 million subs, roughly, was when I first
Mm.
started watching him. So like fairly early on. And within that same year, he got up to like 9 million subscribers. Now he's at like 75 million or something ridiculous. And he has like 10 channels total. Like he has a Spanish channel, and I think he's working on a Japanese channel. He has Beast Gaming, Beast Philanthropy, which is all about his food pantry. Like in all of his other channels basically just make money to then use for the main channel, um and just to offset overall like the crazy expenditures. Like when he did Squid Game, that one video costed him like $3.2 million or more just to make one video. And I don't know if he broke even though I think it's like one of the most quickly viewed videos of all time, because I think within 2 days it had more views than Squid Game itself on Netflix, and I think now
Mm.
it's still his most viewed video ever, and it's at like almost 300 million views or something ridiculous. Um, it just everything he does, like he gives money away, and I seen something where it's like when he started out, like all he had was a little bit of money, and that's why even his first video that blew up where he did start making money was off of a sponsor, and they were going to give him $5,000, and he was like, well, okay. He's like, how about this, give me 10 and I will give it all away to a homeless person, and I won't keep any of it. And even at the time, the company he was being sponsored by was like, I doubt that. He's like, you're not gonna do that and give all your money away. He's like, no, I'll do it. He's like, give me $10,000. It'll be better for the video. Instead of five, I'll give every penny away. And so they agreed to it, and that was like one of his first viral videos, and it was giving 10 grand to a homeless person, and he did that, and then it just kind of kept growing, and then from that video he made a bunch of money. So then he started doing like something similar, and it just kept growing. And then I thought I have heard him say something where he's like, I can do like videos where I give $20,000 away, and he's like, they do well, but at the same time, a lot of YouTubers could do that, and it could be fake, and it could be actors, and I could cheat the system if I really wanted to, and
Mm.
no one would necessarily know. But he's like, when I've done videos where I give $1 million away, there is no way for you to fake that. Like
Yep.
it's right there, it's in your face. You get genuine reactions, and it's nothing I can hide where I can say this and then that person doesn't get it. Because in that sense, if he didn't give the money to someone and just tried using it for like the views, um, like that person, it doesn't matter, even if they were paid actors and they went through all the stuff to even get that, and then they just didn't get the money, it would ruin Mr. Beast's reputation in general. So it's like when he did that first video of giving $1 million away, it kind of set a new standard where it was like everything he does is 100% for real, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like I think for his 40 millionth subscriber mark, he gave his 40 millionth subscriber 40 cars to give away in 24 hours. So I think the dude was like 17, 18, and he had to give away 40 cars in 24 hours for him to then win and keep a custom wrapped brand new Tesla that they bought.
That's
So,
crazy.
like, so, and I think the dude was, I don't even remember. He was several states away. I think he was in like maybe Virginia or Ohio or something along those lines. So they had to ship 40 cars to this guy's house, and then, um, so he just had 40 vehicles sitting in his like yard. So like he gave every family member a car, and like uh, they gave it to friends, and I think at one point he went to Walmart and just found like a random person in the parking lot and was like, "Hey, here, you can have this car," and then like he just gave him the keys and like left. Like the stuff he does is just so crazy. And then when he started like Beef Philanthropy and started doing stuff like that and had um the food pantries that he put on, it just made it even more genuine, because like with that channel, every sponsor, every dollar that channel makes goes back into providing food for communities in his area.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's just crazy, um the amount of stuff he's been able to do in the past 3 years. Like he's only 23.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty insane to see um, how successful someone can be like that.
Yeah, like, and even with this video, I mean, one, he got Gordon Ramsay involved, which is pretty crazy in itself, which wasn't necessarily a surprise. As soon as he said that there was a guest and like all they did was like blur his face, I saw the shirt that they were wearing and just the overall body structure. I was like, well, that's Gordon Ramsay. Like, I've watched enough of his TV shows and everything. I was like, well, that's kind of obvious, but okay. And but I know that in particular for this video, like he doesn't try faking anything. And I think they had been working on this video in particular for like 3 months. They probably recorded it a month ago or more, but they had to spend so much time probably going through footage, editing stuff out, and doing everything they needed to then post. But I know that he went on Joe Rogan like 3 months ago and he talked about it. And one of the reasons why they had delays was he was literally trying to figure out how to make Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and make all this stuff edible and make an actual chocolate river and what works best to keep it real and all that. So they like it basically has people hired in literally just to try figuring out these like random problems just so it's like he wants. And it's just it's ridiculous. Like some of the challenges he has.
Yeah, it is pretty
and then
crazy.
and then he just gives the person $500,000. Like it's awesome. He actually did have someone years ago, to I think 2 or 3 years ago, from Indiana, fairly close to us. I think within like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, in one of his videos for one of his challenges, which is pretty cool.
That is
I
pretty
can't
cool.
remember. I think it was like Monopoly in real life, if I remember correctly.
Oh
But
yeah.
um, yeah, it's just crazy what some people can do with their influence in particular. But I guess speaking of influence, I watched this documentary last night. I've been wanting to watch this documentary. I think it only came out like a week or two ago. Um, it is the Look at Me documentary about XXX um on Hulu, and it
Hmm.
was crazy. Um, have you do you know much about X, or did you listen to much of his music?
No, not really.
Do you know who
Like,
he is?
I know who he is, and like I've heard a couple of his songs, but I don't know him too well. Wasn't ever like
Okay.
too big of a fan, I guess.
Okay. So he basically was underground. He started as an underground rapper down in southern Florida, and basically like when SoundCloud rappers were kind of being becoming a larger thing in like 2016, 2017, around there. Yeah, like 15, probably 14 to 16. Um, and so he like moved out and started making music at a very young age and got involved in some criminal stuff at one point or another. Um, but yeah, so he's from South Florida, SoundCloud rapper. I mean, I feel like most people that listen to this will at least know the name. But he ended up dying in June 18th of 2018 at the age of 20. And he got shot and was robbed. And I remember when it happened, seeing stuff on YouTube, people talking about it. I think I knew who he was at the time. I hadn't listened to a lot of his music. And after hearing his story more, it got me more intrigued to find out who he was a bit and listen to his songs. And a very very complicated person. He definitely had a interesting past. I know he had some criminal allegations that I didn't realize he was still up against at the time of his death, that he was still dealing with legally in Florida. But I think he was like one of the most blown up rappers at the time, and had probably one of the most devout fan groups for that like time through social media, because of Twitter and Instagram and everything he posted. And he would talk to his fans and DM them personally and do a bunch of stuff. So he had a very devout fan group, even when he was reasonably small before he blew up.
Mm-hmm.
The song that did blow up for him originally was "Look at Me," the name of the documentary, which is like a screamo punk rap, which the man's character was definitely very complex, and you could tell that through his past he was like fighting demons in himself, trying to with what everybody was saying in the documentary. Close friends, his mother, aunts and uncles, not uncles, but his aunt. He had a very rough time, I guess, dealing with his emotions and understanding himself, and he put that into his music, and he took that out in a form of anger. So that's one reason why he originally kind of blew up and got attention originally on the internet, was from videos of him like fighting people and getting into fights in public and being recorded and doing stuff like that. And then it was associated with his music and kind of getting attention. And I mean, it's not the best way to get attention, considering it's like negative publicity, but like everybody always says, it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive publicity, it still gets you attention. Mm-hmm. Which is true, but he ended up realizing was like he grew out of it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see it through his music. Like some of his first songs were definitely very aggressive and angry, and like you can see within like 3 years how much he had changed as a person, just listening through his music list, where it went from a very rage induced music to like an R&B love songs to like a positive music, just dealing with emotion. And like, I didn't know this, but when he was 17, he ended up in prison for almost a year.
Oh dang.
He was stuck in jail, and that was all like that was around the time that he actually blew up, was when he was in jail. And some of the reasons was because of his fan base, because I guess from one of his songs, Drake took his flow and his fans caught on, and then it started blowing up on social media, where fans were like saying like, Drake's a fraud, he's stealing, like, this is what this music's from, and all this. And all this stuff when he first blew up, and I think it was from Look at Me and a few other of his songs that were released while he was in prison. When he came out, he was like I guess more of an actual celebrity, and he ended up getting some music deals. And started blowing up more in the mainstream, like getting top songs in the country.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing all this at like 18, 19 years old. And so I did definitely come into his music a little late. And afterwards, I definitely related to a lot of his music. Like, it hit me at a very, very deep level. And I think that's one reason why his fan base was so dedicated to him, was because a lot of people could relate to the music he was making. And I think everybody realized that, even around him, knew that, one, it was good for him when he was making music mentally, but at the same time, he just had such a large impact on the community he had formed, that when he did end up dying, they basically had,
Oh shoot.
I think part of it was an open funeral.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry for that little intermission. Noah's laptop died.
Yeah, my
So back to that documentary and X. So I don't know. So I kind of found him, like I said, a little later, after around his passing, and I started listening to his music. Um, and they were still able to release several records after he passed, just from music he had worked on. And I know he had a controversial past with some domestic violence and stuff like that, and I think he was struggling to even own up with that on his own. Like, that's some of the legal charges he was up against in court. Like, before he passed, he was looking, I think within several days, he was still having to go to trial there for a while and deal with certain things, where he was looking up to possibly 20 years between certain things he did in his past. But he, I don't know, he was definitely he had his own issues, but he definitely was kind of like a light in the dark for a lot of people. And that was the cool thing that I think his mother realized, that even after his death, for his funeral, I think they kind of had it as an open funeral, where fans in the area and people he's known for a long time, and were able to actually come to the funeral, and it wasn't just like immediate family, just because they were such a big part of who he was, and he had such a large impact on their lives.
Yeah.
And I mean, he definitely died way too young. I mean, I think that was the thing, that when I found out about it and I kind of looked into some of his music and him as a person, and he had started posting different stuff on social media before he died, I think the thing that kind of hurt me the most in the whole situation was he passed away like within 6 months, to where he was starting to kind of change his life for the better. And he had changed the way he was dealing with stuff internally, and was overall becoming a more positive person with the things he was dealing with, and for his fan base. He kind of like opened his eyes to what he was doing, and realized that this isn't the right image that he needed to uphold, and kind of was changing himself. And that was the thing that I was like disappointed the most, was he wasn't able to kind of live out the life he was trying to at that point, or at least not it wasn't able to finish that out. And then not only that, but he was going to be a dad. His son was born 8 months after he was killed, so he didn't even get to meet his son either, which was which was terrible in itself. But it's crazy. He still has such a large impact on music and people. I think, which I didn't know this, but at the end of the documentary last night, which I recommend anybody watching, recommend anybody to watch. It was really cool. It was an interesting insight on someone that kind of changed music at that time heavily. Um, like his last song or last album that he, I think, released technically after he passed, but he had worked on that year. Question mark. Like that's just the. I don't know if you've seen that album cover, but that is the most viewed album, listened to album ever on Spotify. Still, like it's the number one album ever, hip hop album ever recorded. Um,
That's crazy.
which is ridiculous because like he's a big name, but then at the same time it's like it's not a name that everybody knows. Like it's not Drake, it's not Lil Wayne, it's not I don't know, Post Malone. Like it's still the number one most listened to album ever. And he passed away 4 years ago. And I think he has like I can't even remember. I think it was like total it was like 34 plus billion plays from all of his music. Like, and I feel like it was kind of something similar to Juice World where his music, like some of his stuff, that they had a lot of similarities, and they were able to make music like it seemed like super easily at times, where they would just like come in and basically make a banger song within 15 minutes, and it ended up being some of their biggest songs ever. And both of them did that. Both of them died too young, and missed out on just what I feel like, if anything, the rest of the world missed out on what they could have brought if they were able to live a full life and the impact they had, which is crazy. I mean, and that was the thing, was I think it was after X died, and was it Pop Smoke that Juice World released Legends, not the album, but I think it might have been the song Legends Never Die, or I could be wrong on the title of the song, but it was about those two dying young, and that he wasn't sure if he was going to make it past that club, and it basically saying that sadly that legends and people that have large impact die too young when in dumb situations, and then in all reality, several years later, he ended up dying at 21 or 20 as well, which is crazy, and he had such a major impact on the industry himself.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with music, but having like music has such a, I don't know if you get this way at times, but I don't know, music has such a weird, like almost like a spiritual or biological, like weird sensation at one point. There's just certain songs and some music that like it's so, I don't know, it connects to humans in particular. Like it's so magical in the sense of what it can bring and change people's moods and just bring to someone, that it's like I don't think human existence would be the same without music. Like good music, it doesn't matter what it is, what genre, there's just some songs that are undeniably like super connective, and especially for some people can just, it almost becomes a spiritual connection to it, where it just like, I don't know, it's crazy, like the feelings people get through music, and like it doesn't make sense why that's a thing, because like before like this, now, like I mean we had classical, and that definitely you can get some of those vibes from, but like back in the day, like 2,000 years ago or more, like the only music that was necessarily around was more percussion based, probably for the most part, a little bit of like wind instruments and vocals, and even that's just been an integral part of like human civilization basically since the beginning.
Yeah, I've always had a really good connection with connection. I guess that's how you say it. With music, cause music yeah, it's been designed to help. It can help you calm down or get pumped up, or it can help you push throughout a workout or focus. It's crazy how music affects the brain, and I used to know exactly the psychology on it. I forget it. Um, but it's really crazy, and I love music. Music helps me a lot. I listen to music all the time. Like, I
Mm,
don't know how I could live without it.
same.
Um, I played instruments throughout my life. I wish still played instruments. I want to get back into it because it, looking back at it, even playing the alto saxophone was very relaxing at times and helped me out a lot.
Yeah, it like
But yeah,
I don't know if I could, like you said, I don't know if I could necessarily live without without music either. Like it's just it it's an integral part of I think humanity for some weird reason. It's like, and there's times I don't necessarily listen to a lot of music, but then there's other times where it's like that's all I could listen to, and I love music a lot, and I could listen to music all day, but I also know that I can't at times. But every now and again, you just throw on certain songs or certain music, and it just like it completely gets to you in a whole different way where it's like you can't not move to the music, you cannot sing the music. It just I don't know. It connects with you on such a different way, especially depending on what the song is and the lyrics, and
hmm
if you relate to the artist or who the person is themselves in some way or another, that it basically like gives you a different way to connect with someone other than just like getting to know them from conversation. Like it's a whole different way of communicating at one point, and it just
yeah,
connects to people on a whole different level.
yeah. It's a tool that is really powerful. That I mean, I really appreciate, and it's helped me out of a lot of like a lot of slumps I've been in. It's been able to help me get out of it. Um, and yeah,
All right. Well, I think that's probably gonna call it for this podcast. I mean, it kind of got a little deep there at the end, but uh, it was a lot of fun. I don't know exactly what our topic's gonna be for next weekend. I have a few ideas running through my head on what we might do. So just let us know what you guys think down below, and if you have any follow up questions on anything, just go ahead and ask. Love to answer and answer any of your guys' questions. Don't forget that we do have Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. We're on all those platforms. We are now officially. It took a while, but we are now actually on Apple Podcasts as well. Um,
oh
so
sweet.
so please just check us out, and we appreciate your guys' support. And I guess we will talk to you guys all next week.
See you guys next week.
Yep. See you guys. Peace out, everybody.